syncing. This. No video. That's not a. There we go. Hey. 13 minutes a day. What's the next split on this one going to be? Editing, perhaps artwork? Now, if I start producing artwork, that's going to interfere with some other stuff. Perhaps it'd be appropriate to split this into doing Andrew Lewis's figure drawing and having two different projects going on at once. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Scripting. As for ancestors develop strategies to survive, compete, and thrive in it. As different groups competed, the best strategy stored as wisdom in the most salient stories outcompeted the alternatives. The best wisdom has already been naturally selected for and risen to the top. To the top. Thing. Stories of wisdom evolve with us. Evolve alongside our faith circuit. Okay, and say by my 2:30 we start the spieling of it. Starting to think I should put my phone in my pocket, maybe get better audio, easier to clean up audio. Anyway, as our ancestors combated against the complexity of the universe around, as our ancestors combated against the complexity of the universe around them, they developed strategies to survive, compete, and thrive in it. As different groups competed, the best strategies, stored as wisdom in the most salient stories, outcompeted the alternatives. The best wisdom has been naturally selected for and risen to the top. Our stories and wisdom evolved alongside our faith circuit. Our traditions are the more fluid part of that. Our creative productions are heavily involved in this process. There's deep wisdom and archetypal representation in the most popular stories. The ones that become most popular because they touch a nerve with this circuitry. Our written and deepest, most valuable wisdom, it contains an amalgamation of the impact of the back and forth between these phenomena, and it leads the individual and group to maximum success, which is why it outcompeted all the other sets of strategies, you could say. It outcompeted all the other stores of wisdom. The most ancient form, well, it probably goes all the way back to far more primal than this, but as our ancestors who migrated and followed the stars, and used the stars to navigate through the seasons, they stored wisdom, and likely a lot of that wisdom was locationally represented. The stars you used to get to certain places would have stored wisdom that led those people to success in those places. And because humans are such a social being, so much of our interactions and complexity is social. The way we transmit this information is not a literalist, don't do this, well, in some cases it comes down to that, but we are more about the story, the wisdom stored in a story. Mnemonic aids work for a reason. Humans adapted to our environment, and the part of that adaptation was a non-physical connection to wisdom that we use that evolved alongside us. You can be atheistic if you want, but you will be rejecting so much of the wisdom. Yes, some of that wisdom has been rediscovered in more literal translations of the universe around us. Game theory is the same as the Golden Rule, discovered 2,000 years later and less impactful in its deep regard. It lacks the salience of the story-driven version, and therefore it doesn't hit it hard and doesn't set up the fundamentals in your circuitry. It doesn't trigger the same circuitry at the same level as the deeper, more narrative structure. And if you reject all the ancient wisdom, you're going to be outcompeted by those who follow it. The ancient, as back to the example of our migratory star sign and animal sign, spirits, everything, we took wisdom from everything and learned from it, and what we could, and we imparted onto it very human lessons. The early cults of Egypt were competing, and they were all out-competed. So if you follow some of the strategies, a set of strategies based on one of the same, the cults, you're going to be outcompeted by those who follow the superior strategy. If you follow the strategy of one of the deities of the home, or one of the deities of fertility, or the deities of commerce, trade, travel, all of these, instead of the more comprehensive set, the people who follow the more comprehensive set will in the long run outcompete you. You will be degrading your community and yourself, especially yourself. The level of processing your mind as a group being is extreme. You will sacrifice yourself for the good of the group. So if you are acting in a way that isn't good for the group, that circuit's going to recognize that, communicate to that to the group, and you're going to be punished for it and live in hell. Whereas if you act in a way that's best for yourself and the group, game theory, or do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, the Golden Rule, then you will outcompete those who are not following the same set of strategies. And that's probably the most valuable strategy. It's hard to, I say that due to its emergence in almost the same literal sense in various cultures. Deep wisdom. So the complexity of the universe around you impacts you. You are more than just you. You have your circuitry. You also have circuitry that regulates for the group. The circuitry that regulates for the group is heavily in tune with this ancient wisdom. And if you want to maximize your benefit from your own circuitry in that respect, you will maximize, you will try and follow the strategies of ancient wisdom. You can approach it from an evolutionary standpoint if you really want. It's better to have faith and believe in the God. It doesn't matter whether or not it's true. The fact is that believing it's true will lead you to more success than those who don't. Believing it is true will activate that circuit to the end of its capacity. So, as a rationalist being, and as an exercise, yes, it is a decent scientific exercise to look at some of the tenets and wonder, why did that outcompete? Why does it exist? Why is it, if it exists, it's there for a reason. That means those who followed outcompeted those who didn't. So existing as a tenet or a story or wisdom, it's why is that present versus not present, and why is that more successful than a potential alternative? If you follow the strategies on the basis of proven out by our complex civilization, then you will have more success. And of course, there are going to be new strategies on the periphery as entropy increases the complexity of the universe. But that doesn't change that the base foundation of the best strategies are going to be, and the base way of conveying those to maximal salience and impact on the human mind are going to change. Okay, I think that's my bit for now. We're at 9:40. Let me think. Potential. the next potential split, I had it written down somewhere. No, the next potential split of this stream is going to be, I think, a different project. I'm thinking Andrew Lewis figure drawing, and then I can apply that towards this project, and I can start pumping out some content of a lower grade easier with such that, assuming I'm able to clean up my audio quality and devise sufficient increase. I've got, say, 5 more streams, 10 more days to manage and become proficient at editing, sufficient that I wouldn't be splitting myself too much. And it's too early to split the editing stream, so maybe I would have to split the figure drawing, recording, and stream earlier at the 10-minute mark. It's a balanced striking process in order to maintain the habit and produce on a scale. I have gotten with my endurance efforts, I've gotten quite a bit further, so I might be able to attempt one of those here. But that is based on the fact that I do have the habit of streaming well cemented. So once I have the habit of editing well cemented, I'm going to say, okay, this is a note for the other log, but it's a note to make after 6 weeks potential to add a endurance long form performance test. And that's that. This is getting more fluid. I feel it getting there. I do feel that it is becoming more refined. I am getting through more quicker. I'm still above my goal, but that's to be expected to a degree. Just 10 more seconds. Well, have a good one. That did go over fairly well.